This is a Pele Media podcast.
Welcome back to Jurassic Park Minute. Jurassic Park Minute is the fan podcast that chronicles and overanalyzes the classic 1993 film Jurassic Park minute by minute. I'm Kyle.
I'm Brady.
And we are here to welcome you to minute number 31 of Jurassic Park.
That's right.
How you doing today?
I'm doing good. How about you?
I'm doing pretty awesome, man. This is a pretty cool minute. If for nothing else, we get kind of the core conceit of the movie, I think, is kind of dictated to us in this minute by Ian Malcolm.
Yeah, it's slowly been delivered to us, but this is where we really get to see him putting it out there and saying, okay, I've changed my mind on this.
Yeah.
You know, sure, I was blown away by everything, my first impressions, but I am really starting to change my mind on this.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and get into the minute. If you're ready, let's do it.
Let's do it.
In the previous minute, Dr. Wu explained why all of the dinosaurs in Jurassic Park are female. At minute number 31, Ian Malcolm tells John Hammond that the sort of control he is attempting is not possible. Malcolm tells him that through evolution, life will break down the barriers that Wu has constructed. At 31:20, Hammond mocks Malcolm's statement by saying, "There it is." Dr. Wu questions Malcolm's statement. At 31:30, Malcolm states that all he is saying is that life finds a way. At 31:33, Grant walks away with a newborn dinosaur and examines it carefully. He asks Dr. Wu what species it is. Wu responds that it is a velociraptor. At 31:50, Grant turns to Wu and asks him to confirm that he has bred raptors. Dr. Wu slowly nods. Grant looks down and strokes the chin of the newborn baby raptor. And thus ends minute number 31 of Jurassic Park. Life finds a way.
That's right.
Yeah, so that's where we get.
Catchphrase.
Yeah, that's where we get the famous line. Probably one of the more famous lines in the entire movie, and it really kind of the general conceit of Jurassic Park is in there. I don't want to say it's kind of the core of chaos theory, but it also kind of is a little bit. You know, like what he's saying here is kind of the general conceit of chaos theory that you can't predict things. Something is going to happen. As we know, having seen the movie several times, life actually does find a way later on in the movie, and we'll get to that in the minute we get into it. But, it's been set up a little bit that the frog DNA is included, and then later on in the movie, we'll get into it when we get to that minute.
Yeah.
But
So I can see how somebody might see the whole life finds a way as an easy out for the script. It really gives them an opportunity to just sort of do whatever they want to do. Kind of like...
yeah, it's the Force or a wizard did it. It's kind of the easy out. But at the same time, this is the entire core conceit of this movie is the idea of chaos theory and evolution. And if like he's saying right here, if there's one thing we know about evolution, it's that life does find a way. If a giraffe has to get a bigger neck in order to get the fruit that's at the top of the tree, eventually that neck's going to grow bigger just by process of elimination.
And I don't like hearing people say that, it's just an easy out,
Right.
Because what is this movie without that?
Is that
people being chased by dinosaurs?
Is that a complaint that some people have about the movie?
I've seen it.
Really?
Before.
Yeah.
But I'd say I've seen it. It's been like maybe one time.
Yeah. Well, that's. I guess I don't understand that either because the entire movie kind of hinges on that entire point.
That's the whole purpose of the whole story.
Yeah. The whole story is about the fact that you cannot contain, you cannot control nature. Nature will, as he says, find a way. You ever had I'll tell this story. So, there used to be an abandoned building on Government Street here in town. You know where that is. And Government Street's going through kind of a revitalization right now. But for a long time, you can confirm with me that it was definitely not the best place to be. There was a lot of poverty and a lot of businesses that had grown up in the 70s and 80s had shut down. So on this particular street, there was one building that I used to drive past all the time when I was a courier for a law firm back in college. And there was a tree inside of the building. And the cool thing about it was that you could tell this building had been shut down like sometime in the 80s. This is the late 90s, maybe early 90s when people stopped using it. Well, somehow this tree continued to get light because it was right by the window. And I'm guessing it's getting water because the damn thing grew up 2 stories and started shattering the windows and growing out of it. I don't think the building's there anymore. I could show you buildings across the street from it, but you probably wouldn't remember it. But it's just something that unless you were really focusing on the building when you were driving by, you wouldn't see. But I must have been stuck in traffic or something. But one time I remember looking over to my right and seeing it and seeing like this tree that was way too big to be in this building. If there was some sort of groundskeeper, this person would have gotten in there and like cut the limbs back. It was growing through the banister to the second floor, and you could tell that the limbs were like going. So anyway, it's pressed up against a giant glass window, so it was getting enough sunlight, right? Life found a way. It continued to grow. That building could not keep it in. It was going to shatter through the building, come through the glass. It did. It shattered through the glass and went through the top of the building. So, it's something you can't stop. You cannot stop the growth of plants. Life will find a way. If have you ever heard? Or there used to be a show, I guess it was on the History Channel or something. It was called like Earth After Humans or Life After Humans.
Yeah.
And it was about how basically it just buildings would collapse if we weren't here in them very shortly
due to a lot of like overgrowth. Plants
yes, plant overgrowth. So life this planet, if there were no humans on it, would just become this gigantic rainforest.
Yeah.
It'd be really cool, kind of like Avatar,
cool, yeah.
Pandora and Avatar. But it'd be very cool. But Malcolm's right here. He's right. No matter what Dr. Wu does, it's going to beings will find a way to perpetuate themselves. They will, and I'm sure that if you had enough, there's a theory that men are not going to be around on this earth forever. Have you heard this?
Go ahead.
That females actually are evolving to get rid of males. There's a real scientific.
So Ellie is right when she says later, "Woman inherits the earth."
Woman inherits the earth.
Truth to that.
Yeah, there is a theory. There's a theory out there, and you can look it up yourself because it's got some pretty zany stuff going on with it biologically. But that some women are evolving to to not need men. And I know we have some female listeners out there in the audience who are probably cheering because they won't be bothered or hassled by dudes anymore. So, right. So that's one way. You cannot control evolution. It's going to find a way. And I'm just going to keep repeating life finds a way here because it's the core conceit of what Malcolm is telling John Hammond here. What do you think about his statement when Ian finishes saying that and he says, "Well, there it is," and John just goes, "There it is."
Yeah, he's pissed off.
Yeah,
he's like, "No, that's not possible."
It's like,
and
you don't believe in what we're doing here.
Yeah.
You're scoffing at it.
The fact that Wu even scoffs at it is the fact that like these are men of science, and Hammond probably not quite the expert that Wu is, but the fact that they're laughing this possibility off is just really goes to reemphasize their ignorance.
Right.
Yeah. And
And I understand where they're coming from because, they're upset. They paid for these people to come down here. Alejandro has prepared a great Chilean sea bass dinner for them, and all they want to do is just poke holes in the whole system, this thing that they've spent the better part of their life trying to develop. They've cloned dinosaurs, that's the probably one of the greatest achievements of humankind in this movie, other than like discovering the atom or, curing polio or something. But who is this guy, this chaotician, to come in here and question what they've done? Are they not gods?
He's exactly
sitting atop Olympus.
Right. He's exactly who they invited to say exactly what he's saying in this moment, and they don't want to hear it.
Right. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So that's just John Hammond in a nutshell.
Yeah.
But there it is.
So I didn't ever really realize because this minute does go on in the next minute, and I was taking notes for these minutes. I noticed that at the very end of this minute, when Grant discovers that they have in fact bred raptors, he spends a very, very, very long time stroking the chin of that raptor. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of great Spielbergian setup and almost like to a Hitchcockian degree, kind of like scene setting where, right before the end of this minute, when he's stroking the chin of the velociraptor, when he says, "What species of dinosaur is this?" He knows what it is. Mm-hmm. He's trying desperately for not to get the answer back. It's velociraptor because he knows what that means. But there's a very long pause. He's looking up. The camera tracks up from the raptor to his face. Half of his face is in black.
Yeah.
Steven Spielberg is just a master filmmaker.
Yeah, he absolutely is. I mean, he understands the medium as best as anybody. And Jurassic Park has a lot of really interesting lighting going on, and this moment is no exception.
Yeah.
The way the light is... on Grant, as he looks up, it's very foreboding. And then when he kind of cocks his face to the side a little bit, it hits his other eye. Mm-hmm. And it's, very effective.
The pacing, too, of this scene where he's like, "You bred raptors," and Wu doesn't vocally respond. He just nods kind of with this
slow,
look on his face, kind of like, "Yes, so what, we bred raptors." Mm-hmm. Like, what would be the problem in breeding raptors?
Yeah.
Wu, you don't go down to the paddock often, do you?
Right? Do you remember that thing that happened a few weeks ago?
Yeah.
The whole reason I'm here?
Yeah.
No, that is a very eerie moment. Wu's response, like, what's the problem?
Steven Spielberg, I think, because of his financial success with some movies, before this movie came out, maybe before Schindler's List came out, was kind of looked at as not maybe the most artistic director. Was Schindler's his first Oscar for Best Director?
Yeah. Oh, well, for winning, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So up until this point, he had financial success with the Indiana Jones films. Close Encounter. I could stand here all night naming all the movies.
He invented the summer blockbuster at 27 years old.
And I think a lot of people held that against him to a lot of degrees. But you see little things in this movie, like this scene, the pacing in it and everything, how brilliant the guy is, his use of shadow, his use of music.
Yeah, and this film really is a prime example of how you can have a summer blockbuster. You can have a fun movie and still have so much intellectualism to it. Yeah, this movie just really brings that home for me anyway. There's so many moments where we're going to hear about these philosophical issues. When otherwise we would think we're seeing dinosaurs chasing people around. But no, you're getting like a 10-minute scene of adults sitting around debating the morals of this whole thing. And I really tip my hat to the movie for that.
And those are the best kind of movies in my mind. I love action
Yeah.
movies that have a philosophical core to them. Seven Samurai, The Matrix, movies that will dazzle you with special effects, thrill you with action, at the same time kind of make you learn something a little bit. Or, at least try to attempt to teach you something. You don't get that, these days you don't really get that from a lot of movies. But I do think that Steven Spielberg did a fantastic job with that here, so...
Yeah, so there's something that always kind of takes me out of this scene, and it's when Jeff Goldblum's or Ian Malcolm's demeanor kind of changes, and he starts giving that sort of typical Jeff Goldblum delivery of his line.
Yeah.
And it always kind of takes me out of it because this is not the guy that we've been seeing for the last 20 minutes or whatever, and that's not 20 minutes, like 10 minutes. And
well, I would say maybe in the last couple of minutes before this, we do kind of get a good setup from him where you start to see the process in his mind where he's walking around the table with his hands behind his back. But you're right, though. Up into these last few minutes, you've just seen him as kind of Lothario. He's kind of a funny guy. And, you see him in the car in a minute when he's hitting on Ellie and like rubbing her hand and stuff like that. That's the Ian Malcolm that I think a lot of us remember. But in this moment, he does. You can see morally he is troubled, ethically he is troubled with what's happening.
Maybe
here.
that's what's triggering his delivery.
Yeah,
in that typical Goldblum fashion.
Yeah, and these are things I didn't catch until this viewing of the movie. I think too. I saw that he was a hard science guy, but noticing him. The subtle things that Jeff Goldblum does, the sitting down in the chair and widening his eyes and talking directly, the hands motions he's doing to John, like, John, I'm trying to tell you something now. This will not take, this will not hold. Evolution's going to find a way to destroy your little system that you and Wu here have made. But yeah. So that's minute number 31. You got anything else for it?
No, there it is.
There it is. We found a way.
There you go.
I want to say wasn't Life Finds a Way one of the closers we wanted to use on the podcast before we decided to go and Hold On to Your Butts?
Yeah, we had something that was probably better than Hold On to Your Butts, but it was something like that, and then maybe I don't know, some stupid ideas.
Yeah, but
yeah. But no, that's all I have for this minute.
Great. Same here, folks. So this is a pretty cool minute. We will find that indeed life does find a way as the movie goes on. These dinosaurs ain't going to be held down, man. No. So, hey, can we talk real quick about something that's coming up in a couple of weeks?
That's right.
Goonies Minute.
Goonies Minute
is about to start. Is about to be launched. Yeah.
That's right. December 12th, and me and my co-host Chris are right. We're going to be taking that one on, and we're very heavy into preparation for it, and we've got some really cool stuff. Again, just like the case with this and Ghostbusters, I'm seeing the movie in a whole different light than I ever have, and it's so much more interesting of a movie because of that. So I really can't wait to break this thing down minute by minute and get it out there for our listeners. I think they're really, really, really going to enjoy it.
Goonies is going to be a cool one too because there's a lot of cool stories around that production. It's Steven Spielberg produced it, but of course he was on the set there a lot with Richard Donner. Directing over his shoulder. I think a lot of people have said how he maybe did with Tobe Hooper on Poltergeist as well. But I'm really looking forward to hearing that one and listening to that one as a fan of the movie. I think you guys are going to do a great job with that. So that's coming down the line, December 12th from the Pele Media family of podcasts.
That's right.
That's going to be a lot of fun. We look forward to that. All right. Well, you ready to get out of here?
Let's do it.
All right. Great, folks. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. I'm Kyle.
I'm Brady.
And until next time, hold on to your butts.
Jurassic Park Minute is a fan-supported podcast. If you like the podcast, then leave us a review on iTunes. You can contact us at JurassicParkMinute@gmail.com and visit us online at JurassicParkMinute.com, Facebook.com/Jurassic Park Minute, and Twitter.com/Jurassic Minute. You've been listening to a Pele Media podcast. For premium content and exclusive podcasts, visit us at patreon.com/Pele Media. Check us out on Facebook at facebook.com/Pele Media and follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/Pele Media.